Woof woof! Hey got death! Okay, now that I've got your attention, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog, and thank you for tuning in to another video. So the topic of this one's going to be quite light, it's going to be quite happy. We are talking about death in comic books. Because as we all know, whether it be through DC or Marvel, death is kind of basically a revolving door, because as soon as a character is dead, it's announced that they're going to become alive again. The only thing that can properly die in the comic book universe is a solicitation for an omnibus that you really wanted from DC Comics. But to illustrate the point of how stupid it is that characters keep dying just so that they can get brought back to life just to make a few sales that later on mean nothing down the line, I'm here with my list of the 10 comic book characters that I genuinely think are going to die within the next 10 years. Quick disclaimer, I don't read every single issue that's coming out, I'm very much more a collected editions guy, so it might be the case that one of these characters is already being built up to die, which just kind of illustrates my point more so, or there might be a rumour that it's going to happen or a writer that said that that's a story that they're going to take. This list is entirely built of characters that I have no knowledge that they're going to die, but I actually do think it's going to happen within the next decade. Just in case you're wondering, I'm filming this on one of the hottest days of the year in the UK. I've got my lights pointing at me, I can't have the window open in case any screaming kids ruin the video for the 80th time this week. So that's why at the moment I'm very mom's spaghetti, if you get what I'm saying. First character that's going to make it onto this list is none other than John Kent. Yeah, it's Superman's son, he's now being aged up as a result of Brian Michael Bendis, and it feels like his story is kind of just going nowhere at the minute. He was great in Super Sons, I really enjoyed that book, but since then I haven't really felt like he's had a place within the universe. Now a character normally dies when they're done with the person and when they feel like their death is the only thing that's going to gain any more interest in them. Unfortunately, as much as I like John Kent in Super Sons, he hasn't really had any buzz about him since then, and the Superman family's kind of become a bit stale in my eyes. So Lois I don't really think is going to die. You've obviously got Superman who's died famously in the past, and Supergirl's died and been reincarnated as well, and at this point it feels like Superman having a son is actually weighing that character down. So if they killed him, yeah, there'd be that mourning period, but then they could go back to having some good old-fashioned Superman stories, which I think we kind of need. Quick spoilers for the last 10 years of Batman stories, but Damian Wayne's already died, so it just makes sense that his partner in crime might also get a death as well. Number 9, I've got another Flash. Yeah, I haven't even specified. It's not that I'm being lazy with the list, it's just that I don't really think one Flash is going to die more than the others. I don't really think it's going to be Barry, it could possibly be that Jay dies, or it could even be that Wally dies. But no, in the past multiple Flashes have died before, and I don't really think we've had one in a while. Maybe there's been one that I just haven't been following because I don't really read single issues, but it just kind of makes sense to me that the Flash would get another round in the revolving door that is death. I think as well, I haven't really noticed there being much buzz around the current run of Flash. It's not that it's bad or anything, it's just nobody seems to talk about it. So what would generate some more buzz and electricity in that series would of course be taking away one of the key founding members of it. And we saw how popular it was when Flash Rebirth happened, when they brought Barry Allen back to the DC universe, and then eventually that tied into Flashpoint. And for me, I think that was a time when the Flash as a character was the most popular that he's been in probably the last 3 decades. And the Flash's death in Crisis on Infinite Earths was so important to that storyline that I do think DC would take a chance to see if lightning can strike twice when they kill off one of these characters. Number 8, I've got Jean Grey yet again. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if Jean Grey's alive at this point. I don't know when her last death was, I believe it was in New XMen. And honestly, as contradictory as it sounds, I don't even think she is gonna die, but it's kind of like an insurance policy because she's died that many times that I would feel stupid if I didn't include her on this list. And trust me, there's already thousands of reasons from the few videos that I've already got where I look dumb, so that I'm not gonna take another easy chance by leaving Jean Grey off this list. Number 7, and this one kind of pains me, but I think we might see the death of Conan the Barbarian. In the last few years, Marvel has recently reacquired the rights to Conan, and they've done so many great things with him already. From the omnibuses, to the series by Jason Aaron, to bringing him into the Savage Avengers, we've had this overabundance of Conan. And although the hype was real, although I believe that Conan is one of the best characters that have ever come out of comics, and even though I don't want him to die, I get the feeling that that kind of seesaw of loving Conan to hating Conan is kind of tipping in the balance at the minute. Given the fact that there wasn't much buzz for him before he came to Marvel, and then all of a sudden he's just been everywhere, I can kind of see that Marvel's building up to this thing where they're eventually going to kill him. And obviously with there being so many mystical elements to his universe, it'd be quite easy to bring him back anyway, but there's just something in the back of my head that says that either the hype for Conan will die or Conan as a character is going to go in the next few years. Number 6, and I know he's a fan favourite, but I think the Hulk is going to die. Is it just me, or does it feel like the Hulk's kind of being forgotten as a character? Because obviously we've got the Red Hulk and then we've got She-Hulk. It feels like Bruce Banner, the original who started all of this, is kind of now a background character completely. Whereas if you look at the Avengers movies, he's often one of the favourite characters that people have. I think to kind of re-establish that that love and to generate some more buzz for the character, they might actually see the Green Giant go out in a blaze of glory. It's probably going to be in a dumb way as well, like there's going to be some kind of threat like there was in Endgame, where there's something that only the Hulk can handle because of the fact that he's got this kind of like protection to gamma radiation. However, I think it's going to have the opposite effect and it's going to take away his Hulk powers, and I think ultimately it's going to lead to his demise. Doing this would actually establish the fact that we need the Hulk, we need Bruce Banner. Yeah, you might have a She-Hulk, yeah, you might have a Red Hulk, you can make any kind of colour Hulk that you want, but ultimately there is only one Bruce Banner. He's been sidelined so often now that I think we need some time away from him to realise how much we actually love this character. He's been the outcast, he's been the villain, but he's never been the one that people have genuinely truly missed. Number 5, and I feel like it's because it's obligatory for me to say his name when I'm doing any kind of top 10 list, but yeah, I think we could see the death of Nightwing. When you think about the history of the character, we have seen the full life of Dick Grayson. We saw him at the beginning when he was originally becoming Robin, and then we saw him as a teenager when he was forming the Teen Titans. We've seen him mature into a young adult when he was Nightwing, and then we also saw him take on the mantle of Batman. And then he's also had a separate turn where he's become this super spy and he's become his own character as just Grayson. However, yes, I am aware of what they've been doing with this character in recent years, and it feels like they aren't taking Dick Grayson seriously. They don't understand why we like this character or what the appeal of him is, and it feels like they've forgotten who exactly it is that's under the Nightwing mask. And this turn of events reminds me exactly of what happened with Daredevil when it came to Shadowland. I don't want it to happen to Nightwing. I'd be upset if this did actually come into fruition, but for some reason it seems like that great trajectory of overall plot and overall life story that we've seen of Dick Grayson has been completely forgotten in the recent years. He was Batman's first Robin, he was the leader of the Teen Titans. Like I said, he was even Batman for a short period of time. There's so much history with this character that I feel like we need something to remind ourselves of why exactly it is that he's probably my favourite character in DC Comics. But unfortunately it does seem like there's only one way that that's going to happen. Death, if you remember what I said at the very beginning of this. Number 4, making her way up to the guillotine, I've got Wonder Woman. I've got absolutely no basis why I believe Wonder Woman's going to die, but I just think it's going to happen. Because out of the DC trio, we've seen Superman die, and that was a massive worldwide event that even made it onto the news. We've seen Batman die, and it was weird. No, like seriously, he even became a pirate. I don't fully understand it. But Wonder Woman kind of is the mother of the DC universe to me, in the same way that it feels like Superman's this father figure and that Batman's this kind of uncle that you know is going to beat you up when everyone else isn't looking. But besides when it was the 1 year later and we had the 52 event, it doesn't really feel like we've ever had a considerable amount of time where we haven't really seen Wonder Woman in the picture. She's had great runs, she's got this storied history, and her popularity is probably at an all-time high because of the films that are coming out. And often comic companies don't make good decisions when they've got a popular character, because the way to make a popular character even more popular is to announce that you're going to kill them. Like I said, they did it with Superman, they've done it with Captain America. So because of her popularity, I wouldn't be too surprised if over the next 10 years they just find a way to suddenly cut her out of the picture just so it can be a shock to everyone. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to be good, but I do think it's going to happen. Number 3, and I'm going to cheat a little bit because I've got The Thing or Mr. Fantastic. Now yeah, during Jonathan Hickman's run he did do that famous storyline where it was just called 3, and of course the Human Torch was actually killed off. And by killed off I mean that someone literally closed an intergalactic door and people just assumed he was dead. But that was actually quite a good storyline, so I can't knock it too much. However, the Fantastic Four has gone through this weird transitional phase because Marvel kind of tried to completely forget about them when it was that they didn't have the rights over at Marvel Studios. But I believe it's Dan Slott who's currently writing this, and he does actually like to do stories where he kills off a character to see how the rest of the universe reacts to it. There are a few examples of this in his Spider-Man run, and I think he might take a stab at that during Fantastic Four. However, for some reason I can't see them killing off the only woman on the team, so I think that leaves us with either The Thing or Mr. Fantastic. The Thing would be like an emotional death because he's kind of the heart and soul of the team, but Mr. Fantastic's the leader of it. Without him, the brains of the entire operation completely goes. So who exactly would you get to replace him? They could kind of do something cool where they get Professor Xavier to take his place. But then of course they realise that you need someone like Mr. Fantastic and that no one can fill his shoes. If the Thing dies and the Hulk doesn't die like I said earlier in this list, maybe the Hulk could replace the Thing. There's quite a few options here, and I think it would actually change the dynamic of the Fantastic Four, and it could breathe a lot of new life into it. But I just can't decide which one I think would die more out of these two. But I create this video so I can choose both. I could put all 4 on here if I wanted, but I'm not going to do that. I'm still going to be honest, so I'm only putting 2. Actually, it's funny I should mention that because the last 2 picks also are 2 picks each. And for the second one, I think we're going to see a death in the X-Men that isn't Jean Grey, and I genuinely believe it's either going to be Storm or Beast. Now the reason why I think Beast might be on his way out is because of the same reasons that I literally just said for The Thing and Mr. Fantastic. He's such a lovable character that he is part of the heart and soul when it comes to the X-Men, but he's also really intelligent, and I think they could adapt a storyline similar to what they did with the X-Men prequel films. Maybe Beast wants to be human again, so he could take some kind of experimental drug that eventually leads to him being killed. Or it could be some kind of self-sacrificial thing in a similar way to Colossus dying when it was in the 90s, I believe. But on a different page, Storm is one of those characters that's transcended herself beyond just the X-Men. She's got such a massive role within Wakanda, she means so much to Black Panther, and she's also had so much to do with the Avengers, with A-Force, that I think her dying would actually have a lot of ripples throughout the Marvel Universe. But either way, I think it'd be dumb of me to think that we're going to get through the next 10 years of comics and not one member of the X-Men die. So for that reason alone, I have to choose someone, and I do think it's either going to be Beast or Storm. Now for my final pick, this might come as heartbreaking news, or this may come as the best thing that you've ever heard in recent days. In which case, if it is, you've got no reason not to like the video and not to subscribe. But I think within the next 10 years, we're either going to see the Joker die or Harley Quinn. And the reason why I say that is because they're so prominent at the minute. Harley Quinn's everywhere, Joker's everywhere. We've even got an event on called Joker War. Now I know Joker's died so many times in the past, and you know, we thought he was dead at the end of Death in the Family, and there's been times where he's just disappeared for a few years. But it's clear that they're building up this storyline surrounding the Joker, and I think the way to end that on quite a crescendo would be to kill a major character. I really like the storyline of Arkham Knight and the way that they use the absence of the Joker to tell us a more personal story about Batman. They could go in a similar direction to that, or there could just be a street war for all the turf that the Joker's got. There could be this competition for who's going to be the top dog, and it could make Batman's job 100 times worse, to the point where he realises that he needed someone like the Joker because it was better to chase down one foe than it is to chase down 100. And Harley Quinn's also gone through this transitional phase, so she was originally just the Joker's girlfriend, that was her role, but then she's become her own character. I think it would actually be quite poignant if they did a storyline of Harley Quinn realising that she wanted to get back with the Joker just because that's what she wanted, rather than her feeling like she's got this Stockholm syndrome, but then that somehow ultimately leading to her demise. The most logical way to do this would be to have the Joker finally kill her. Maybe he could be annoyed at the fact that she went off and did her own thing, so that he finally just kills her off. Or it could be the case that he has one of his usual schemes where he doesn't really have any consideration for her life that ultimately leads to her dying, and then he's got to deal with that guilt. I personally think either of those storylines would be a good justification to actually kill off Harley Quinn. But still, I think these characters have been around for a long time, so even if they did die, I don't think it'd be for too long, but I do actually think their days are numbered, and in the next 10 years, we might see at least one of them go. But that's my list, and I know that it's mostly been hypothetical, and I know that I don't have so much information about all the times that any of these characters have died in the past, but I do think it's a good discussion because of course death is just the biggest joke when it comes to comics. It's a bigger joke than reboots, it's a bigger joke than event comics. Death is the thing that means absolutely nothing to us. So why not take the mick out of it? Why not list 10 characters that we think are gonna die? So I want to hear your list in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, and remember to click that bell notification. And depending on when you're watching this, my first ever live stream to celebrate getting 500 subscribers is going to be this coming Friday. If you're watching this in the future, I don't know when that is, but please make sure that you check it out because it'd be great to talk to some of you whilst I'm live. Who knows, maybe even I'm going to die in the next 10 years. But remember to share this video with your friends so that we can keep the discussion going, and if you want to support the channel, I've got an Amazon affiliate link below. If you order anything off Amazon, it does really help the channel because I'm trying to save up for a better camera. But check out some of my links, check out some of my other videos, but just remember to stay safe, keep reading, and keep barking all you mad dogs, and I'll see you at the next video.